This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to the From Pain to Purpose radio show. I'm your host, Eva Fulton. In this show, we explore the incredible journeys of resilience, healing, and transformation. In each episode, we will sit down with individuals who have faced unimaginable struggles and turned their pain into power, heartbreak into hope, and their challenges into meaningful change and finding new purpose in life. Through candid conversations and inspiring stories, we will uncover how pain, whether emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, can be the catalyst for profound growth and a deeper sense of purpose. So if you are looking for motivation, insight, and real stories of triumph over adversity, you're in the right place. Let's get started on this journey from pain to purpose. Let's give veterans a voice through Military Broadcast Talk. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? I am here live on January 24th, the year of our Lord, 2026, live from the state of Texas. And, it's cold here, folks. I don't know where you're at. It's probably cold there too. But we've got only some sleet on the ground right now, but they are predicting 10 to 12 inches of snow. As the, weatherman goes side of things, I'll believe it when I see it because, if anything, I don't always trust what the weather folks say. And, I broke my back a couple of years ago in the Texas ice storm that we had. So I don't step outside, not even for the dogs. I stay inside during the storm. And but otherwise, I've just been doing some cooking. I've been on a academic break this whole week, which has been kind of nice, and just cooking. So I'm enjoying myself, and I hadn't turned on my computer in the last few days. So if you saw me online, it was just on my phone. It was kind of nice. Just, no tech side of things. And just letting the brain kind of unwind a little bit. But I did do some health tests and was able to log in to the VA app a while ago. And so far, heart and lungs and everything is turning out good. I think they even came back and said that the lupus and Lyme were negative. So now I'm kind of back to square one, trying to figure things out. But I think this is also going to be a good segue for the guests that I have today. I always do some research and find some interesting people to have on the show. And my guest today is David Morrow, and he hails from even colder Canada than where we are here in Texas. And, it's interesting to see or hear. I love listening to other podcasters and see what they say, because sometimes, you find out whether what you experience aligns with them or what their experiences are. And I think my guest this week is no different. I think we have a lot of interesting topics to discuss. What's happening in Canada, how Canadian veterans fare, which may not be quite the same as what we experience here in the United States. And that's really coming to say that we've done probably far better at using our voices and advocating for benefits that we could be very well taking for granted, because I think Dave is going to share that things are probably not nearly, I want to say welcoming, maybe is a good word, was probably another better word, but that they don't have the same benefits that we do. So here we go for our interview of the week.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Eva, how are you?
Whoops, if it helps if I click the other button and get you on here too. So here's the rest of the intro. There's a tagline he had on his show that I was listening to, and this is, he's the combat biochemist, author, and coach dad. So
Pretty good. Eva, that sounds better than the version I came up with. I'm working on it for 2026. So yeah, that pretty much sums up who I am. That's awesome.
No, I think it's fabulous. You know, I think the only thing, I don't use coach, I don't use the biochemist, but I'm a documentary. I have a documentary that I made, but then I'm also a people gardener. I use people gardener extraordinaire, a little flair in there. So
Very cool.
And mom, of course, mom. I have a visitor down here, one of my dogs. All right, so let's tell us about you. You were, which branch were you in? Do y'all have branches in Canada? Maybe.
So my MOS was infantry.
Okay.
So obviously I was part of the Army here, part of the Army Reserves in Canada. So our system is a little bit different. We have a British system, so we have a regimental system. So from the time I was 19 to the time I was, 34, 35, the Army was a part-time gig for me, except for when you decide to go to war. So throughout essentially the whole GWAT, we were getting ready to deploy somewhere, whether it was Bosnia, whether it was domestic, whether it was UAE, didn't matter. There's all kinds of missions going on. And I really wanted to go to Afghanistan. A bunch of my buddies went to Afghanistan. A bunch of the troops I trained had already gone to Afghanistan, and we hadn't had combat since Korea, realistically. So we were just crawling over each other to get onto a mission. And because we're reservists, you apply. They don't send the whole regiment. They just put individuals into battle groups and into platoons and into sections to augment the full-time guys that are going overseas. So I got a shot to go. And actually the last combat mission Canada was involved in Afghanistan for rotation 310. And I jumped on it, and I got to get my taste of combat with 10th Mountain Division. Sorry, I'm having a blank here. I had 1-2 SCR. I had so many regiments come through, or units come through, but it was just a real hoot to actually go to war as a solo kind of operator with the American companies and the battalions. That I really got an affinity for working with the Americans, and I still do. And case in point, that's why I'm here today to chat a little bit about what we experience here as veterans in Canada and compare notes with our friends to the U.S.
Yeah, but I know that you have made some connections. You've been on some podcasts in San Antonio with Grunt Style. And how did you connect with those? How did you connect with them?
Great question. The connection. No, here I'll bring my Grunt Style mug up just to give me a little street cred as I take a sip of water. So the Grunt Style connection was interesting because a buddy of mine, we created a gaming company to start making some apps. I don't know anything about apps, but I'm a teacher. So I also have background in coaching. And I was like, I think we can figure out a fitness app for veterans. So we're like, hey, we just started this company, but we need to get out there. So I said, I know this conference in the US. I think it's called MIC. Like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Military Influencer Conference. So we went down. We were the only 2 Canadians there. And we were like the novelty guys. They're like, hey, you know those Canadians here? So they're like, what are you guys doing down here? We're like, I don't know.
You fish out of water.
We're in business. We had a blast. Long story short, my buddy Mike, about a year earlier, sent a bottle of Crown Royal to the grunt style guys that were sitting on the steps of the Capitol to get the PACT Act passed.
Okay.
So he's like, hey, your brothers to the north have got your back, and sent a bottle of Crown Royal. And that was that. He's out having a smoke, and he sees guys in the smoke pit with a grunt style shirt on. And they're like, oh, can we have a light? And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you guys are grunt style. He's like, yeah, we're grunt. He's like, oh, that's cool. I sent a bottle of Crown Royal last year. He's like, oh, then the grunt style guys went, oh my God, you're that guy?
Oh,
like, yeah,
man.
like, we've been trying to find you, man. He's like, well, I'm it. So we ended up having dinner with them and having a few drinks, and we just built a relationship. I think that was like 4 years ago. So we just, cultivated that relationship. Tim and everybody there, they're just great people. I got to come down last year and chat on the American Grit podcast that he has. And it's just been really cool to kind of build those relationships. And every year we're doing a little bit more together. And I just love their mission. And I want to emulate as much as we can here in Canada to build an advocacy arm that we just don't have.
Yeah. We were talking before the show that y'all don't have a veteran service organization.
No, the closest thing we have is the Royal Canadian Legion, but they are just a hot mess right now. Their organization goes back to, First World War. My grandfather went. I thought that's what I had to do when I got back from Afghanistan. And then I realized it's just poorly managed. It's mostly civilians and non-veterans that run it, and they've just lost their way. And none of us younger generations from the GWAT era even bother going. And we got such a sour taste in our mouths because we were told like we don't belong. So we just said, you know what, we're not going to belong to an organization that doesn't want us. But that kind of leaves us with nothing. And none of the organizations that we have here in Canada advocate for veterans because they're all in the back pocket of the government, because they all get funding from the government. Right. So that creates a conflict of interest. So they don't go to bat for us. So whenever there's cuts to Veterans Affairs, whenever there's serious issues like veterans being offered medical assistance and dying, there's really nobody that's got an organization behind them that can go to bat for us and look after our health and make sure that new legislation gets passed. Everything gets pushed down to us from the top down rather than from the bottom up.
Things are decided for you and not getting your input for it to go upwards, right? 100%. I mean, I'm working on my PhD, and the theory I'm using is stakeholder theory. So this is getting our, it's on the unfulfilled needs of female combat veterans. So if we can find I think the paper that I'm working on will be replicable, that you guys could use it and do your own study up there in Canada and just change the population to all veterans, and get your input. What do you need? And start using your voice. I mean, that would be great if y'all were able to do that. So how many veterans are there in Canada and versus how many are active duty? Do you happen to know any of those numbers? Yeah,
I got a ballpark. It's roughly around 500,000 in Canada. And the funny thing is, though, when they send out the census, most of us veterans don't trust the government. So we don't even put that we're veterans. So the numbers kind of skewed. So, but
they should know how many served from their own military data.
You'd be surprised how unorganized Canada is when it comes to data and numbers. We are a hot mess. So it's designed to fail. So to give you an idea, yeah, precisely. So you
can't, from the public administration side, it is designed to fail. The less we know, plausible deniability, then they don't. Well, we don't know. We can't.
If there's no numbers, you can't criticize the numbers. And that plays directly into the suicide numbers here in Canada. We can always refer to the US, and the 22 a day it really sticks in most of our minds, whether it's exact or not.
Right.
We all know anecdotally that yeah, of course. It like I have friends, American friends that have taken their own lines. I know for a fact that that's a thing and I know for a fact it's got to be at least one a day here in Canada. So that means, is there 300s or so a year? Likely, but we have no idea because there's never been a study. However, they have a figure that came out in 2016, about 10 years ago, that veterans are about 1.5 to 1.8 times more likely to commit suicide. But how do you base that number if you don't have a denominator? I don't understand. I searched high, like far and wide to figure out this number, but they don't have any studies because they don't want to know. And so, case in point, like you just said, if they don't have the numbers, they can't be criticized on them. So Canada, in terms
can't
of
hold anybody accountable.
Exactly. We have about, let's say, 500,000 veterans. Active duty, roughly 60,000 ish. So we have a very small military, and it's dwindling because of poor management and lack of vision. Now, how many reservists there are, we know, and that's the other thing too. How many reservists are part of that veteran total? We don't even know. I was a reservist. We're just left to flounder in the wind. So we don't have good numbers. We don't have good data. And what it does is it just leaves a landscape of veterans that just get forgotten about. And that's what I hope to change slowly but surely.
Wow. You know, I work for the federal government, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around how somebody chooses not to, you know, how do you even come up with a budget to manage the military? With, you know, you think of a Department of War, you know, an old DOD, you would still have to have some kind of numbers to be able to run that organization. Not so much even as being a business, but how do you manage it and be able to defend Canada?
I wholeheartedly agree, and I don't have an answer for you.
Wow. I just, my, you know, I feel like I've got the wheels turning, and the academic side and the, you know, bureaucratic side of me is like, just, wow, I can't even imagine that.
Well, if I could interject, last month, there was, I don't know if it was leaked on purpose, but it hit the airwaves pretty quickly, and it was widely criticized as being completely insane. But our prime minister floated the idea through our chief of defense staff that they would employ public servants to the tune of 300,000 of them to be civil defense and get military training so that they would augment our military to fulfill our NATO capacity, which, if you're just looking at it from face value, that doesn't make any sense.
Isn't that what Obama said?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the quote several times. I even heard it aired the other day on a different show I was listening to, that Obama was trying to say, you know, we need to have a civilian defense. You know, 300,000 should be a good number for that. I wonder.
And that's the thing. I don't disagree with the idea. I disagree with the implementation to take public servants who would, in my opinion, never want to do that. There'd be a small fraction that would decide to do it. And I just,
are they going to conscript them? I'm thinking
part
that.
of me hopes to God that they do, because my wife is a public servant, and I would just love to be her training sergeant for that 1 week. It would just make me complete as a human being, I think. And she dismisses it, and she's like, Dave, you don't know what you're talking about. That's never going to happen. I go, but there's a small chance. It's not a non-zero chance that could happen. And that gives me a little bit of joy. But that being said, we have some issues, but you know, now that I'm out, my main focus is on the veteran population and trying to ensure that we look after the members that are served, and that we improve their health through not necessarily alternative means, but better means, and expose them to ways that they can heal, rather than just be stuck in this endless loop of being under recovered and constantly thrown into therapy and prescribed pharmaceuticals.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I was listening to your last show. It was it was not a conference. What did you have? I guess there was a presentation.
Webinar.
Yeah, there was a webinar, and I got to the point where you had a 5-minute work, where people were doing some kind of homework and
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing things. But I really liked how you presented that. You want to cover that as a brief snippet on your show?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a teacher by trade. I did 10 years as a high school math and science teacher. So uh, I was trained as a teacher. I deployed to Afghanistan. I came home, and then you just get thrown back into your regular civilian life. So I said, well, I guess I'm a teacher again. So I started teaching math and science and to 12-year-olds, which was an odd shift from bullets and bombs and IEDs to 12-year-olds. But I thoroughly enjoy teaching. And so one of the things I try to convey in my Veterans Getting Fit AF community is that you have to learn things and you have to expand your consciousness in order for you to heal. Because if you don't have that willingness to change, it's going to be very hard for you to actually implement anything. And so the point of that workshop was to really start grabbing the attention of folks that want to change. And I asked the community, like, what are you guys really interested in? I want to frame it around what you actually want. And a lot of the questions were framed around hormones, GLP-1, so like Wegovy and those drugs, and just how to get started. So I gave people just a window of time to learn a little bit about how to create a 2026 battle plan, if you want to call it, and what you should do to create kind of like a non-negotiables. That's not, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week and I'm going to work out like a maniac and lose 30 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
You're setting yourself up for failure on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's adopting a mindset that you're under recovered, which means that you can recover. So there's hope at the end of that rainbow. And all you need to do is just start recognizing that your central nervous system has likely been jacked up. Myself suffer from post-traumatic stress. That just means my stress level is just always cranked up just a little bit higher than it should be. I've got physical injuries as well. That's pretty much the story for most of us that served in the global war on terror. So what are some of the strategies that you can do that don't require a ton of investment and a ton of investment of your time? And so we just broke that down into like 3 or 4 really workshop-based topics. And then you just created your own little plan that you could move into 2026 with. And it's like a lot of it is around breath work and committing to movement every day and getting sun in your eyes. And it seems basic, but really that is all essentially that you need to do to start a process. You can't start with a gym workout. You got to start, if you're starting from zero, with something that's so basic and fundamental that you can do it every day without fail. And that was the point of the workshop.
No, I was fully in alignment with what you were saying. And I think you were, gently reminding folks that this is the time to own that, and I don't know how much y'all did as far as, PT in your, when you were active duty and, when you were deployed. But, I'm a Desert Storm era veteran, right? So I did 12 years and got out in 2000 due to some injuries. And, I divorced myself from doing PT for a long time because most of it was still just recovery from the injuries. I couldn't flip it on that now I needed to own doing PT for myself, choosing to do it, not because somebody told me I had to do something. And that was huge for me to make that transition, that I'm doing it as a want and actually craving the physical aspect of things and dreaming of hiking on the Appalachian Trail. And I've been kind of weird like that. That's my go-to thing is hiking. So
yeah, well, I saw in your intro video, you did the pilgrimage in Spain, I believe.
Yeah. I've done part of the Camino twice now.
Yeah. Okay. Really cool. Yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty of being fit is you can do more with your life and you can enjoy fitness as part of your healing process.
Yeah.
A lot of us, especially the combat arms guys and like the special forces guys, I tried to coin a term, right? You can't soft your way through healing. Like you can't special forces your way through healing. A lot of the guys that have come through my community, they're so they're so good at initiating a plan and going all in on a plan that they do all the healing modalities kind of all at once, because that's what's gotten them success. But that's not how you heal. It's a slow, gradual, incremental process. So the hard charging guys typically have a harder time realizing, oh, I just need to chill out and let this happen. And that often takes more time than most people would like to admit. And, I've been on a healing journey for over a decade, and I feel so much better than I did a decade ago. I'm fitter, I'm healthier. My biometrics are even better than they were 10 years ago. But that just took a fundamental shift in my mindset, that I'm okay with taking 10, 15, even 20, just to get incrementally better. But adopting that can be a hard frame shift, a hard mindset shift. So part of what I try to do is just say that it's okay that it takes maybe 3 years for you to get to where you kind of want to go. But the point is that you're on that path, and to be okay with the fact that you may not have a massive breakthrough in the first month or 3 or 4 or a year, but you know that you're on the path and you're making a little bit of progress. And there's a million different modalities that you can pick. It's just which one works for you. That's the hardest part, is figuring that out.
And not being, I think, afraid that just because one doesn't work, that a different one might not be better,
Yeah. Or that my community, I'm not saying that what I preach is even good for you. You could be in my community and be like, Dave, this sucks. I'm like, okay, well, awesome. But you tried it. So,
all right, try something else.
Go find somebody else. Like, I don't pretend that I know everything. I don't, but I've talked to a lot of people on the show. I've been in this space for a long time. I'm still here, and I'm physically doing it myself. So I have a little bit of credibility, and I don't pretend to talk about anything that I've never tried. So I really come from a place of just authenticity, that I don't know everything. And I will, though, try and help those get to their next phase, their next breakthrough, as best as I can with the programs that I put together. And that's my new mission, really, is just to figure that out and to keep on building and offering the best possible service, but also the best possible communities for veterans to heal.
So one of the things, I think, before the show, it sounded like what you did was you started doing some research and figuring out what programs were out there. Is that kind of what led you to some of the programs that you've actually participated in, and what helped you decide to do those programs versus, not doing other ones?
Yeah, the impetus for me getting started actually was I couldn't get out of bed. I was really suffering with my back injury. Just bought a house, just got married, just had a kid, just started a new career. So for a young guy in my 30s, I got a lot of stress. I can't go to work. I don't have anything from VAC at this point. I don't realize how bad things really are. I don't realize I have post-traumatic stress, but I do know that I can't walk. Right. And that's a problem. And it was during that time where I'm stuck on my back, my wife's helping me go to the bathroom, and I'm like, this is not good, because this is only going to get worse from here. I just let go of my ego, because I was a training sergeant. I left as a lieutenant, right? When I finally got released, I trained probably 200 soldiers in my life. I was the fit guy. I was the PT guy. I was a personal trainer. So of course I know everything. Well, why am I still stuck in bed? If I know everything, why am I still stuck in bed? So then I realized I needed help. And it was just that mindset shift that I don't know everything. I need to let go of my ego. Then I finally got my coach, who I still work with today. And then I realized, okay, well, is there a program that's just for a veteran like myself? And I couldn't find it. I found a lot of influencers that awesome programs, but just weren't for me. I'm too banged up. I got psychological issues. I have ups and downs. So I just decided, well, maybe it's best that I just help a few soldiers not get injured. So I created a PDF file when I did a seminar. They loved it. They're like, can we get more? I said, okay. It turned into a book. So that was my book, The Nimble Warrior, which is really just my rehab plan. And then from there, I started helping other soldiers get ready for CANSOF selection here. So I was never in CANSOF, but these young guys took to me. They're like, hey, you know what you're talking about, and you're pretty affordable. So I was like, all right, I'll take that as a compliment. And a bunch of them ended up passing selection and getting selected. So they talked to a bunch of their other friends. And eventually I just went towards the veteran route because I felt more comfortable there, because that's who I am. I'm a
Right.
veteran. And that being said, I started building programs that were mostly focused on men's health, because I don't really know much about women's health. I don't know if I want to dip my toes in there. But ironically, right, when you try to avoid something, I got the opportunity to create a veteran women's program, the first of its kind in Canada, that was actually funded by Veterans Affairs Canada. And we've subsequently helped hundreds of women get fitter and healthier and improve their mental health through the Athena program. So we just started another cohort this week or last week, which is awesome. So I have a men's program and a women's program, and I have a chronic pain program, and it kind of snowballs itself. So I was really happy that we were the first program just for veterans in general that got recognized by Veterans Affairs Canada. So I just wanted to kind of keep that momentum going, and hey, why don't we do a men's program? And so we're working on trying to get that funded as well in the future, to recognize that fitness and health is the way to heal a veteran. One of my favorite guests, and my friend Hal, who's a therapist, he works with a lot of the special forces guys in Ottawa, and a lot of the police officers in our nation's capital. And he was a police officer himself. And he's like, Dave, I have never worked with anybody that got better that didn't improve their physical health first.
Yeah.
They're 100% intertwined. And I always ask my clients, hey, have you gone for a run this week? Have you gone to the gym? Just as a way to see, like, hey, are you actually building a better body? Because that mind will get better when you start improving your physical space. So that's something that I realized was really important and lacking. So I've just been hammering that point as much as possible, that if you're feeling down, if you feel like crap, you got to start figuring out how to get your body moving.
Motion is lotion.
Motion is lotion. And this is connected to all of this.
Yeah,
so
motion is lotion.
Hormones
But
moving,
how do you do that in the cold? I mean, you're in minus 40-degree weather.
You have hockey, just hockey. We go out, we play hockey. I was literally just playing hockey yesterday with my son. It's the best. So I could do that all day. It's hockey.
Yeah, I have a friend that, he can't do that, but he's stuck in the house and it's minus 40 where he's at. What do you recommend?
Well, I mean,
it's not just pacing from the kitchen in the living room.
I mean, my biggest thing is you have all the tools. If somebody's trying to sell you the fanciest new gym equipment, the basic loadout is a pair of running shoes. And you can go for a walk. If it's too cold to go for a walk, I have kettlebells literally right next to me. I did a workout before we went online. A kettlebell is your best friend. One kettlebell will last you your entire life. It will never break. It'll never let you down. It's just a heavy piece of iron with a handle on it.
Yeah.
And you can always keep yourself fit that way. The Russians have been doing it for like 200 years. We can do it too. So as long as you're willing to put in a little bit of work and do 20 minutes of activity a day, it doesn't have to be this. A lot of us get stuck in this mindset because of the military. A lot of times we don't feel like we're exercising or doing anything beneficial unless we're going balls to walls and heaving at the end of a workout. At least that was my experience.
Or you're at the gym and
or you're at the gym and everything's burning and you're like, oh, this sucks. You can enjoy 20 minutes of physical activity where you're breathing a little bit harder than you would if you're just going for like a leisurely walk. That's good, man. If you do that for the rest of your life, that's perfect. Your all-cause mortality will drop off a cliff. Chance of diabetes will fall off a cliff, but it's just committing to it. That's it. So, it's really cold. Yeah. Stay inside. Swing a kettlebell, do some burpees. If you can't do burpees, run in place, jumping. There's a million different things that you can do from home. It's just whether or not you're motivated to do it. And you have a big why. And if your why is strong enough, the how is easy. So that's my main thing. You got to establish that why. Is it for your kids? Is it for you? Is it for, a mission? Why are you doing this? And if you can establish that, you'll be a lot better off.
I thought what was interesting when I was listening to you during your show yesterday, I was listening to that you almost quit with all of this, right? You were having conversations with your attorney, thinking about shutting it down. And I think that doubt was certainly in there, and you were just, trying to figure out your why, or, readjusting. And what made you stick with it?
Well, I had a profound experience with the Lord last year that really, it was in Mexico at a retreat that I'm going back to this year. And we did some breath work, and I traveled through space time. I don't know what you want to call it. And then I just had this moment where everything up till there, the business was not doing well. I fundamentally didn't want to coach anymore. I just couldn't stand the grind. I just didn't want to do it. I built something that I actually didn't like being involved with. And that was really bothersome. And so I went to this retreat and I just said, hey, I'm just going to do some jujitsu and just chill and not worry about business. And it was this profound conversation that I had where he said, you're going to be okay. You're a good dude. Things will come to you. Just let them happen. And I was just blown away. And I came out, I was bawling my eyes out. And I just had this profound sense of calm. And I shit you not, I'm on the phone with my lawyer. This is after I got back from the retreat. I was like, yeah, I gotta fold the company. I'm not making any money, and I just don't want to do it anymore. He's like, yeah, okay, well, this is the form you got to fill out. This is the next step. I go, okay, thank you. Get off the phone. Next day, I get an email. It's from the Royal Canadian Legion. They say, hey, congratulations, you got a grant. I'm like, a grant? I'm like, I didn't apply for any grants. They said, no, you did last year. I'm like, whoa, you guys are slow. Okay. They're like, I think it was like a $20,000 grant. I mean, it's not a ton of money, but I was like, oh, when you had no money I'm like, well, for what? They go for your women's program. Like, oh, that's true. I did apply for that. Oh, thank you. They're like, where do we deposit it? I go, in my bank account. They go, there you go. So from nothing to all of a sudden the next day, I'm like, is this a sign? I think this might be a sign. So I said, okay, let me just digest this. I was cleaning up everything. I was even considering shutting down the podcast, the community. I was literally a click away from shutting down my Veterans Getting Fit AF community. And then there's a notification. And the notification was one of my longtime members in the community. He just renewed his membership. And I was going to have to tell everybody, hey, you're getting a refund, but we're done. Well, why is he renewing? Obviously, he's getting value. And he did. He lost like 30 pounds in the community. And I wasn't directly coaching him. And I went, maybe I should just wait on this. Maybe I should just sit on this. So I actually took the whole summer off. And then I got back to it. And I realized, okay, I've got a brand new vision of what I want to do. The way I was doing things before just wasn't in line with who I am. I need to put things in line with who I am. I'm a teacher. I have a different background than most veterans. I need to lean into that. And I need to just speak and write the way I want to speak and write, not like how I think people want to speak and write. And if they get upset with those opinions, I'm okay with that. If they don't like me, I'm okay with that. And if they don't want to get coached by me, I'm okay with that. And lo and behold, I'm here now, and business is doing great, and community is doing great, and I couldn't be more thankful. So this year is going to be really interesting. 2026 is going to be very interesting, just because I'm aligned in a much better way than I was the previous years.
That sounds exciting. And you applied for another grant to fund men's, right?
So interestingly enough,
or they don't have it.
There's no grant. I've applied in the past and it's been ignored. So, okay. I'm a crafty guy. I'm very tenacious. I don't give up easily. Maybe it's my Irish ancestry. I don't know. But I was like, I got to figure this out. There's got to be a way. And I did figure out a way. So for Canadian veterans, they can apply through an education training benefit. And since I build my course based on a curriculum that is theory-based, it qualifies for the education training benefit. So veterans have applied to do my online fitness course, which I provide a ton of theory in modules with quizzes and all that fun stuff. And Veterans Affairs goes, yeah, that's a short course. And they provide the funding for it. So I figured out a way for men and women to apply for my programs, if you're Canadian, to get that passed, which I'm quite happy with, because there's not many offering that from what I can tell, or any that are offering that in Canada right now. So I'm kind of uniquely positioned in that respect. And I've got a lot
I
of
don't even
Americans.
know that we have something like
I was
that in
going to say, I'm
America.
trying to figure that out for I've got about 20 to 30% of my audience and my community members are American. And I'm like, guys, I'm trying to figure it out. But I'm not in that world. So if you know, or if any of your listeners know of a program that can offer funding for fitness programs or educational
There's the
programs,
MOVE program. Have you looked up the VA's MOVE program?
is that MOVE? No,
MOVE. Yeah. So I'm a MOVE success. Yeah. I don't talk about the MOVE program much, but so there's the diet side. So during COVID, I was a participant in the VA's MOVE program, but I didn't, and they send you this whole workbook and, diet, nutrition and stuff like that, right? Trying to help you revamp. And, it's with the old pyramid, not the new pyramid.
the inverted pyramid.
Yeah. But then I didn't know that it also led into they sent me scales, and had this you had to do this upload thing, and they had this little machine that talked to you every day and answer a couple of questions, and it transmits it through your Wi-Fi signal, and then ended up getting to get a gastric sleeve done. Some people could get the whole full bariatric surgery. I had the sleeve done and lost 50. I've maintained a loss of 50 pounds. And so anyways,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's made a big difference to me, because at my highest, I was 215 pounds and, averaging about 150, 145 to 150 range. But mobility has been my biggest thing. So, I had just a variety of issues, physical issues from the Army. I'll just send you I was in a really bad car wreck when I was 22 on my birthday. An MP T'd my car going 55 to 65 miles an hour. So yeah, I had 3 pelvic fractures, 2 knee fractures, 2 ankle fractures, and it messed up my back. And so over the years, I've just dealt with a whole variety of issues, survived war only to go through this car wreck that, could have killed me. And, it's been a blessing in disguise in many ways. But so getting back to your story, you have, I thought it was interesting when we were talking that the Canadians, you veterans in Canada, do not have any type of veteran service organization that you can really partner with that helps provide a voice as I want to say like a PAC to go and lobby with the Canadian government to advocate for what you guys need. It didn't exist. And that was really one of those things, even when you're talking about going to the doctor and stuff, you have to get in line. I want to say in line because you have socialized healthcare, from what I understand, that there is no distinction for any of the doctors or hospitals that only facilitates veteran care based, you don't have a VA hospital.
That's right.
So your doctors are not informed about veteran illnesses and stuff like that.
That's right. That's one of the main issues I'm trying to fight here in Canada, which is, why are we the only NATO country that doesn't provide frontline medical care for its veterans? Everybody else has some form of frontline care. Our last hospital is literally down the street. It's over here. I can almost see it from my house. It was the St. Anne's Veterans Hospital. And a lot of the World War II veterans, they were there. It provided phenomenal care. But a few years ago, it was rolled over to the province. If I were to walk in there and be admitted, I wouldn't be admitted as a veteran. I'd be admitted as just a regular citizen. So I would fall in line with everybody else. We don't have a dedicated system, like you said, for veterans, full stop. What that means is if any of our issues, chronic issues, they're popping up, Well, for the regular GP, and I'll use my example, I've been seeing the same doctor for almost 20 years. I'm lucky. I've got a doctor. Almost 20% of Canadians don't. They just don't have a doctor. So they can't even call one and be like, hey, I need help. So therefore, 20% of veterans just don't have a doctor across Canada. Therefore, that service for my doctor, sure, it's great. I can get requisitions. I can get medication if I need. He sees me for about 5 minutes. He still doesn't remember that I was in the military. He always refers to me being in the RCMP, which is our national police force. Meaning when I say, hey, I'm worried about toxic exposures, he goes, well, why? You're a young guy. And I go, well, it's because Afghanistan. He's like, why were you there? Okay. You got to explain these things over and over again. So there's no centralized source of truth for any doctor in Canada that says, hey, a veteran experience is going to be a little bit different. You're going to be dealing with some younger guys that are going to experience some weird things that you might only see in your elderly population.
Right.
But this is how we kind of tackle it. So that's one thing that I really recognize in the United States is far better than anything we have here. Now, obviously, there's issues with the VA medical care, but it's still there. That's one thing that we don't have. And our healthcare system is in shambles right now here in Canada. So therefore, veteran care is in shambles. So if you're looking to get any sort of doctor requisition, you just can't. So that was one of the reasons why I kind of got on the war horse and said, well, I got to figure out a way to make this happen. So I crafted a deal for Canadians in my community that they can get discounted telehealth, coast to coast, bilingual, 24/7. And it works really well. I use it myself. So that's one thing I've been rolling out this year. You shouldn't have to wait for a doctor. Now we have our socialized medical system that's not working. So this is the option. And I figured out a way to get VAC to pay for it on the back end. And what's great is that a lot of us need our paperwork filled out by some sort of specialist for the VA, for VAC, to get our benefits. Well, if you can't access a doctor, you're not going to get paid. So this is starting that process of getting veterans healed and the benefits that they need. And only 25% of Canadian veterans that are eligible for benefits actually claim their benefits. And our benefits are incredible. I have to say, they're probably one of the best in the world, but getting them, it took me almost 15 years to finally get my full set of benefits, which is insane. And it's the same story kind of across the board. I've heard it said with American veterans as well, the delay, deny, die principle is in full effect here. But the difference is, you mentioned VSOs. We don't have any sort of legislation to define a veteran service organization here. So all we have is the Royal Canadian Legion, which is recognized officially as our veteran organization that is at an arm's length from the government. And then any other nonprofit that kind of gets a ton of money from the federal government as well. But aside from that, there's really nothing else to advocate for veteran issues. So when we start complaining about toxic exposure, cancer, suicide, there's nobody that's
I don't have a voice.
There's nobody that has enough critical mass to make the government realize we better listen to these guys, because unlike the VFW that has, I think, 2 million members, we don't have anything comparable.
Yeah, I'm a member of the VFW in Arlington, Virginia. So hopefully I'll get to see you when you come down and introduce, I would love to meet up with you. There was one other topic before we run out of time, because I know it's pretty significant topic that has to do with MAID, and that's the medical assistance in dying. I know you're not the main person that, but you were on a podcast with a female, and y'all were discussing it. And I was like, man, I hope this is not coming to America, and so I wanted to pay attention to that. Can you tell the audience what is MAID? Absolutely.
I mean, like you said, I'm not the MAID guy, but considering there's only, I think, 3 of us in Canada that are really talking about it, it has to be brought up. And the fact that it's not a bigger issue here in Canada, it breaks my heart, because we know for a fact, and this has been admitted by our Veterans Affairs Canada, that 4 members have been offered MAID by the case managers that were talking to them. The point of the organization, as you know, is similar to yours. is to provide care and to make sure that veterans get the benefits and care that they need. Nobody calls the VA and expects to be offered death. That's not within their mandate. You're struggling enough to pick up that 1,000-pound phone and say like, hey, I need help. But yet on the other line, they're saying, oh, well, it sounds like you're really hurting. Why don't we just make it easy for you and we can get you offed? That to me was repulsive.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I had one.
That makes you think, what happened to the do no harm? You know, the doctors, the medical oath that they are supposed to take care of patients.
Right. Precisely.
Does not include helping kill them.
and we have legislation here in Canada that it's a criminal offense to convince somebody to take their own life. Yet somehow a bunch of case managers here in Canada, because it was a bunch, it wasn't just one, they tried to label just one, because our case managers are province to province, and we know that the individuals were in different provinces, and so case managers reside in the province that they take care of veterans in. So therefore, we know it had to be nationwide, and so at some point there had to have been some coordination. And two of the podcasters that really take this point and really develop the issue here, Mark Meinke's podcast, the Operation Tango Romeo, he's got a great podcast, and Kelsey Sheeran, she's got a great podcast as well. Anecdotally,
and she's on fire about it.
She's on fire. She's the one that's really pushing back at the national level. She's a veteran as well. She's got a lot of exposure. Apparently, and this is based on her numbers, there's at least 20 Canadian veterans that have been offered MAID. So my warning to my American friends is that once this legislation starts taking root, yes, it feels like it's compassionate. And if my mother is in agony due to a chronic condition, I can easily see the point being made that, yeah, maybe my mother would want to end it.
She could do a
early.
DNR, right? She could do a DNR for a very valid reason, not this, I'm having a bad day and, well, let me help you.
But the mission creep here has now gone and permeated Veterans Affairs and offering it to people that have never wanted it in the first place. And that just explains to me that there's a moral rot that's going on here.
Yeah.
And now there's tabled legislation at the federal level to allow people to apply for MAID and get it done within a day, to only have mental health conditions, not a chronic condition, to allow minors to apply for it. And so we can see this mission creep and this expansion is getting well beyond the scope of, well, just terminally ill, like old patients. It's expanding. And I think part of the reason why is the veteran community is an inconvenient community. The veteran community
they're the weak.
Is seen
if they can, if they're the weak, right? The weak and the feeble.
And getting us back on our feet and getting us healed and recovered would, and we've already posed a massive threat to their system because we're principled, and that can exist in their polarized world. So therefore, I think that's why we're a target, and we have nobody to advocate for us. And my warning to, my friends in the United States is just don't let this creep into your VA. If it does, you need to fight back like you've never fought back before. And I have to give a shout out to Angry Cops. He probably did the best video on this whole topic and got more passionate than any Canadian I've seen. And so shout out to Angry Cops for really covering this topic, because yeah, it should anger every veteran that a Canadian veteran, almost 20 veterans, if that's true, got offered suicide by the government. That's
and
that to me horrible. Is just unacceptable.
That's not acceptable.
No,
not acceptable.
Not in any planet, not in any world. That's right.
Yeah. Wow. I shout out to Angry Cop if you want to come on my show, or anybody else, hey, yeah. I'd be happy to have you on, because I think we all have a pain to purpose story. And that's precisely why I kept after you. I didn't give up.
No, that was great. That was great. I'm glad you're persistent. Yeah.
I just knew that just because y'all are Canadian, neighbors to the north, that if they have found a way to be able to sneak that in for you guys up there, I am going to be hell bent from the public administration side that we can't let that happen here. We have to help amplify your voice and make sure, to all my other American Legion and veteran, foreign wears, buddies, that we have to be knowledgeable about this and, be forewarned that we have to help ourselves. And I think that, kind of coming full circle, that this also comes back to owning your own health, right? What's a quick 3-step giveaway that, points that you can help people understand what's 3 quick things that can help them, and then make sure how can they reach out to you, hardtokill.org, and what all can they find on your website?
Absolutely. I would say pain is a request for change. So why are you in pain? I'm borrowing it from Dr. Kelly Starrett. Awesome dude. Had him on the show a bunch of times. Motion is lotion. You got to move no matter what. Don't care if you're missing your legs, move your arms, do something. And lastly, give yourself some grace. It's okay for this to be a long, drawn out thing. It's probably taken 20, 25 years for you to get to the state that you're in right now.
Yeah.
So if it takes 2 years to get healthy, that's okay. 5 years, it's fine. You just stay on the path, and we can chat in my community. That's where I spend most of my time. That's where I teach pretty much every day, Monday to Friday. If you go to my website, it's here on the bottom, hardtokill.org. There's a big button, join community. It's absolutely free to join. And I've got a whole bunch of people in there. We're growing quite steadily over the last few months, and you can listen to my podcast, and you can buy my book, Harden the Fuck Up. Tim Jensen of Grunt Style wrote the foreword. It's packed full of really good information from my podcast, and it's in bite-sized, like Army style format. So if you got ADD like me, it's like, okay, 3-4 pages. Oh, that's what I got to do. Cool. And that would be the best way to reach out to me and find what I'm doing, is go to hardtokill.org and join the community. Love to have you in there.
And you're on Substack.
It's all there. Substack,
Your
YouTube.
podcast, easy listening. And it makes you think, you were saying plenty of things. I was like, yep, I get it. Yep, I get it. It was not difficult to, know that you were very well aligned with the Pain to Purpose, because I do the 4, pillars of a chair: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And you've hit on all of those categories. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. And now you can go play poker, right?
Yeah, it's poker and UFC tonight. So I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't break the bank, make sure you
buy-in. That's it. It's $20 buy-in, Eva. Don't worry.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. It's a gentleman's game.
Little known fact about me: I learned how to be a dealer a few years ago. So my guest that I have coming up, we haven't figured out which day she's coming. I don't know which. She's a good friend of mine. She doesn't know, but she's a good friend of mine. So she has quite the story to tell. She does entertainment and, here in Texas, and she helps host on the whole gambling side of things. This is all for fun, entertainment side for poker and blackjack, but I learned how to be a dealer. Little known fact about me. Thank you so much, Dave. I look forward to watching all the things that you're doing, and hopefully, we can help connect you and amplify your voice. And, we're your good friends here on the South Side.
Right on. I love it, Eva. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll get this. I'll tag you when I share the links and everything. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Have some really good guests coming up. I've not been feeling very well the last couple of days, so I will post the schedule in the next day or so. And, we have great stories to tell. So stay safe, stay warm, and y'all have a very blessed week. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.